clients, but
something like that.
Recording.
There it is.
There we go. Okay. Oh, oh my goodness.
We got like a whole gallery tonight. This is awesome, man. It's like
Wow, we went from two gray-haired dudes to two gray-haired dudes, a bald guy. That's a bad attitude. Here, let me hit this group. Get there in a sec. Okay, all right. Bam. We are live on Facebook, Battle Buddies Live. So Sarah, we'll get you up to speed here real quick. So we are going to be speaking about tonight. I labeled this, you are what you eat, you are what you think. It's kind of the same thing, right? So tonight we're going to be talking about subconscious mindset. We've got several special guests here this evening. I'll let them all introduce themselves a little bit. Hey, Kathleen, that looks like one of those things you pee on to see if you're having a baby or not over there.
Well, I'm writing notes. I'm taking notes.
Messing with you.
Oh,
I thought you might want to announce something live here. Wasn't sure.
timing is everything. Let her do her thing. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So we'll kind of go around here, and I'm gonna violate the ladies first thing tonight. Well, not really, but sort of. So the guy known as Oogie, would you mind introducing yourself? You may want to use your real name or not.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
fine.
sure.
Use it all the time. So my name is Andrew Sepe. I did 10 years in the army as an infantryman, 2 tours in Afghanistan, 2 tours in Iraq, 3rd ID, 101st, 1-1. Got out, was doing fine, had a bad divorce, recovering in school. Things are all right. Things are all right.
Excellent.
Nice. And then Pete, real quick.
Hey, once again, your old pal Pete LaValle, resume resource, 23 years combined, active and reserve duty. I did some time after everything was said and done in the sandbox as a contractor. It was great, and I'm happy to be here.
So an alum of the program who came in, not even talk about your status, but you exited Battle Buddies when we were still at the pizza shops as a success story. Kathleen, you want to introduce yourself just super quick?
yeah. Hi, my name is Kathleen. I was going to Battle Buddies. I didn't have a job. I was in the restaurant industry, and then I was able to get a job in the construction industry. And actually now I've transitioned to a new industry, the cybersecurity. So
Yeah,
but it was all help with Battle Buddies. All of it helped me. So
It's been amazing to watch this over the last 2.5 years, I suppose, right around there, right? You were just a waitress a couple years ago, right? Now you're working on a legit, nice, amazing career. Sarah?
Hey, Sarah Farstead out of South Dakota, 11 years Army, 4 of them active, 1 trip to Iraq and back. And yeah, now I'm operations manager at electronics company in South Dakota.
And Lana?
hey everyone, Lana Spizo, calling in from Phoenix, Arizona. And I did about almost 10 years in the Army. I was a intel officer. I have a psychology background prior to my military service, and I have some executive experience as well. Right now, in a nutshell, I help leaders become better people managers so that their companies thrive.
nice.
So all of those pain in the ass moments we have with corporate America, Lana goes in there and puts some military whoop ass on these guys so that they can be a little bit more, and it's kind of backwards from what you'd think. You think of military by default as kind of the bad guys, right? So that military training and leadership actually goes really far in corporate America. So, and last but not least, I see you got a really fresh haircut. Looks like the bowl just came off of there 5 minutes ago before you put a razor to your head. Mr. Watts, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes.
Hey, so yeah, I'm James Watts, Army veteran, one of the founding members of Battle Buddies. Apologize, I am coming to you live from a hotel room in Manhattan, New York City. Finally started traveling again for work. So,
Right.
I'm coming from you live from South Minneapolis, the
So
home of
exciting.
where the riot started last year. If anybody has any feedback they want to put into our comment section here this evening, please do so. So our focus is going to be on subconscious mindset this evening. We're going to have kind of a roundtable story type of thing going on here. This may be somewhat controlled chaos, but it'll probably be a little more chaos, which is pretty vet friendly. So I titled this, "You Are What You Eat, You Are What You Think." So I know that myself back in 2000, when I was a financial advisor, I went through a program at the Principal Financial Group, and it was about changing the words that you use in your common vernacular. And it was mainly removing the connotations. So like trying to remove won't, can't, shouldn't, those types of things that are negative in nature, and rephrasing them in positive manners. And I literally watched my pretty decent performance from a sales perspective just skyrocket once I did that one simple thing of removing negative words, negative people, negative thoughts from my mind. And that's really what I was hoping that we could kind of focus that on this evening. I told Kathleen before we went live here, like 2 seconds, I think it might even been when I hit the "we're recording" button on Zoom here. So I'm going to put her on the spot, and I can tell you what I saw a few years ago was someone who seemed to be a little unsure about where she wanted to go in life. And she came into Battle Buddies, and I know that she started focusing on some of that stuff. So Kathleen, are we kind of digging a little too deep for you? Are you willing to kind of share your story of your own transition and mindset?
Yeah, so I just started coming to the weekly meetings, and it helped me kind of stay on track because, you know, I need that constant, motivation. And, people help me talk through, my insecurities and help me kind of figure out what are the best industries for me to get into. And there's plenty of resources out there that I didn't know about that I found out through the meetings. I met people, and I got different perspectives, and that was really nice. And when we had the at Devani's, there was always foods. So I think maybe I started coming for the food, and then I ended up with the job. So
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I remember she's going, "I only have $4 in my checking account. I don't know what I'm going to do." I'm like, "Well, at least you get to eat."
Comes for
Yeah.
food,
Yep.
ends up with a career.
Yeah.
Hey, sounds like mission accomplished to me.
Yeah, and it kept me in perspective too of what I need to accomplish for my next phase in life. I can't just get out of the military and just not do anything else for the next chapters. And I think that's where people get lost. They just kind of get out, and then they don't have a set goal or plans. So it really helped me to go to these meetings.
So let's kind of baseline things for where you were, kind of some of the efforts that you put in, where you're at and where you're looking to go. Because you can't do that if you're thinking negative, right? If somebody's telling you, no, that's going to stop you at the subconscious level, right? So when you came in, I remember you were a waitress at a place across the road from where we were at, right? The little oven or something like that. Am I right?
Yeah, I was just, working at a local pizza joint, and, for me personally, it wasn't about other people telling me no, it was me telling me no. I kept telling myself, well, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, I don't have the education, and it was always me holding myself back. And so, I just kept coming to the meetings, and I realized, what I am capable of, and I applied myself. And like I said, I did transition from the construction, which I was gonna originally try to do, and I did get a job, through Battle Buddies. It was a connection through Battle Buddies. I got that job, but then I realized that wasn't for me. So now another connection through Battle Buddies, I've transitioned into cybersecurity, which I'm in school now for it. So, and there was a person who lives in Colorado who is my friend on Facebook and who I met through Battle Buddies who got me into the program. So, and I wouldn't have known that guy if it wasn't for, this group. So even though the meetings helped, I mean, it's other people in the group as well.
Heck, yeah.
I do want to say something because you bring up a good point where you said that you were the one that was keeping you down and, being negative towards yourself. And I want to be very clear because it's not always obvious when we're being negative to ourselves. It's not always, oh, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough for this. It's the language that we use, using the terms like just or honestly. So stuff like that, where we're limiting ourselves, is actually being negative to us. So it really does take a conscious effort to eliminate those from your vocabulary and your thoughts. So great job, Kathleen.
Mhm.
Yeah, I always told myself I'm just a waitress, or I'll always just be a waitress.
See?
So I definitely know what you're saying there.
I jump in? I'd love to hear.
Yeah.
Kathleen, that's an amazing story. And it takes a lot to go from one end to the other end of the spectrum and to kind of look at that once you've gone through it. We all know, like, our mindset, it's a fixed belief on how you see the world around you, right? Some of these beliefs serve you and some of them don't. The ones that don't serve you are the ones that turn into the self-sabotage, the low self-worth, I'm not enough. And it's all about imposter syndrome, right? Excuse me. I think every single one of us experienced this at some point in our life. I'm a coach. I self-sabotage at least once a week. We all do it. It's just part of who we are. But really, it's about self-awareness and stopping yourself and saying, okay, hold on a second. How am I showing up for myself right now? Because it's so easy to help someone else who's in that crazy pain or that crisis, right? And stop them from going into that, rabbit hole or staying on that hamster wheel. But when you're going through that, that absolute crisis in your own mind, it's like everything around you is swirling. You're stuck in the middle of the storm, and you have to know how to just stop yourself and say, hold on a minute. I can help someone else, but I'm not helping myself. They always tell you on the airplane, put your mask on first. And if you can't do that in regular life and apply that, sorry about the mask comment, but and apply that to your own life and moving forward, you're gonna stay stuck in that same, on the mountain, and you're gonna go around and around on that merry-go-round. And it takes your own mindset to say, hold on, it's time for me to stop and get off. And that's what you did. And having a great support system like Battle Buddies is just so amazing because, we all come from a place of whether we went to combat or not, doesn't matter. I don't talk about it. It is what it is. But we're all brothers and sisters, and we have that level of camaraderie where, hey, we're going to be there for you no matter what. And that support is the biggest piece of helping you keep that mindset in the right place.
So a question for you, Lana, when you're dealing with these corporate executives, this self-sabotage, is it happen with them like it would say an E4 mafia person that's just transitioning out of the military that was in for 3 years? I mean, are these two people different in just, can you kind of give some examples of that?
Okay, they may be different in the level of leadership, right? Are they a manager? Are they a leader? How many people they're managing, obviously what their salary is. But at the end of the day, we're all human. We all put our pants on the same way, and we all have the exact same fears. A lot of it is, I'm not enough. I can't be a good husband or a good partner or a good spouse because, you can't disconnect from this thing that I have turned off. And there's so many deadlines are the same. Not knowing the decision whether you're making a right or a left, right, is whether you're on a convoy, you don't know where you're going, you're making that right or your left, you're still making a decision. Whether you're in the boardroom, it's okay, are we moving forward this plan, or are we deviating and taking the second or third contingency plan? It doesn't matter. The point is to get yourself out of that mindset of the self-sabotage, which paralyzes you, analysis paralysis, we all know that. It's making that decision and knowing at the end of the day, I'm going to have solution-oriented people around me because I've built those solution-oriented people that can help me make the right decisions along the way, and they're going to follow me. So it's about knowing that it's okay to make a mistake. You have to have a workforce. I think whether you're in the military or not in the boardroom, you have to have a safe place for making mistakes. And that's what grows and stretches people. If you can't allow people to make mistakes, then you don't need to be in a leadership position, because that's the only thing that's going to allow a level of autonomy and creativity and innovation from your people.
And I will add to that. I think one of the thing that's helped me the most is giving myself grace and allowing myself to know that it's okay that I don't finish everything on my to-do list for the day. That deadline, it obviously rank it in priority and get what needs to get done, but it's okay to let things, the non-important things slide, and not to, rack on that perfectionism and getting everything done, because you'll just burn yourself out.
Yeah.
Sarah,
absolutely.
oh, sorry. Sarah, anything to add in here on this from your perspective?
I was just kind of thinking, two comments, one that you made, Chuck, and then one that Kathleen made. For you, it was getting rid of like negative people. And for her, it was a friend in Colorado, and the importance of having the right kind of people around you if you're in that transition spot, not having the negative Nellies, but having somebody that's, I don't know, Kathleen, what was your friend in Colorado like, their personality that kind of helped pull you into this new path?
Yeah, I'm just really positive and, just trying to help me to help myself, and just pushing me. And because he was in the same program too. And he was like, well, if I can do this program, you can do it too. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And so I did, and I accomplished some of it. So I
How's it
mean, it's the
going?
positive people. Because I think when I worked at the restaurant, it's a really negative environment, a lot of gossip, a lot of drama, and those people just get stuck in their ways, and that's what I had to escape, and it was really hard for me. But now that I'm like in it and going to the meetings too, like everyone was positive and everyone wanted to fix their lives and get their lives together, and like I needed that, and so it really did help me.
So one of
How's
the things
program going?
sorry.
I was
So one of
gonna
the things I tell a lot of my friends is you have to select the crab bucket you want to live in, because, life is like a crab bucket. You got a lot of people that are constantly pulling you back into the bucket, and depending what that bucket looks like should determine whether or not you want to stay in there. So if it's bad, get the F out of there as fast as possible, and just completely cut those people and that thinking out of your mindset as fast as possible. It'll do you the best good that you can. I'm really nervous about asking the next person this, but Mr. Oogie, any feedback here for anybody on mindset stuff? I know, you and I have talked offline about stuff. I know that this has kind of entered your life a bit.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, like, it's no secret. I've been through a lot. Past 5 years was just, holy crap, a roller coaster ride. And I actually like, serving as an infantryman came really handy, because there were days where it was dark. It was really dark, and it was the only thing that kept me going was just the mentality of, I'm gonna get through this. Like, there were days I didn't know where I'm gonna sleep. I didn't know what I'm gonna eat. And I was like, but I'm gonna make it. Then I did, and things are good now.
Just got to keep moving forward. I remember there was a day where you were looking for a ride and a cigarette, right? That was like a couple of years ago. And,
Yep.
Those are tough days right there, right? And,
Yep. Was trying to get to VA to get into HUD-VASH program.
yeah. And now you got a dog that lives with you. 100%, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's a huge transition. That's a great accomplishment. So, it's all mindset. I think, we all, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of us get out of the military with an identity of, you're Sergeant so-and-so or Captain so-and-so, and you become this, this third person thing. And then when that third person thing is suddenly gone, it's like, shit, I'm Chuck. What's one of those? I don't even know, right? And we can flail really easy. And if we don't know what's up and down and have a good support system around us, I mean, we're going to become the crabs that are in that bucket really fast. I mean, it's so powerful. The subconscious mindset of what it can do to you is unbelievable. I mean, I just remember going through a couple of schools when I was in the Army with the mindset of I'm literally going to finish this or leave on a stretcher. And one of them I left on a stretcher. I mean, I was that committed. And, you know, that's just where you've got to be, or you'll see people fall out all around you. That's what makes us different, is when the shit hits the fan, we run towards the fan. That doesn't happen in the civilian world. James, you deal at a high level in the civilian world. I mean, you got anything to add on this?
I would think I want to say, yeah, you're absolutely right. So when we get out, you know, for most of us, our time in the military, and the military is part of our core identity. I mean, it's drilled into us. It's beaten into us. We're our brothers and our sisters. We're all the same. It doesn't matter. You know, in the Army, we were all green. When you get out, it's not like that, you know, and you bring up a good point. You know, we've been trained and we have the mindset that we're going to run towards whatever's going on, whether that's, you know, conflict, whether that's, you know, problems that need to be solved, you know, or whatever it is. You know, in the civilian world, that is actually very rare. And being
Very
able,
threatening.
it's very threatening too. It is. And then I think that it's very threatening because of the way that we're used to dealing with that stuff in the military doesn't work in the civilian world. You have to change your mindset and approach it in a different way, so that you don't come across as threatening. You know, you can still be the problem solver. You can still head on, not avoid conflict or be passive aggressive. But it's all about changing your mindset to matching what the organization that you're trying to get into is. You know, it's just like the same thing. If you think about it, it's the same thing we did when we joined the military. We changed our mindset and we became what the military wanted us to be. Now it's just doing it again for your next mission.
So this has been a kind of a rub me the wrong way for a long time. I don't see it too much on the page anymore, but it's why doesn't anybody understand me? Why do I have to adapt to that 99% that's not like me? Because I'm a vet. I got an asterisk next to my name. I got a combat patch or whatever, right? Lana, I see you laughing over there.
So what?
So that's like the person that does this when they don't know the answer. You're next.
You know where I'm going with this. You may or may not. So a few weeks ago, I put a questionnaire up on the site, and it was really about like, what was the most difficult challenge for those that have already transitioned and those transitioning into civilian workforce. I don't remember what I put on. There was like 5 or 6 listed. And what I had thought was number one was actually number one. It was transitioning from the military to working with a corporate team or any type of team in the civilian sector. And it's kind of funny because the second one, someone actually added, and they wrote, trying to get used to not saying the F word, right? The F bombs. That came in, actually, that may have come in first because it was pretty funny. But then the other one was actually, Chuck, what you talked about was, you're no longer this person in the military. You still identify with this person, but you need to let that person go and transition over. And the reason I was laughing a little bit was because, I think what the military lacks is the ability to say it's okay to have compassion for other people, because we're in that mindset of mission first, mission first, mission first. We can't fail no matter what. And there's such a blurred line of what compassion is. But on the leadership side, I've done both in the military and as an executive. And compassion isn't about, the mushy stuff. Compassion is being self-aware It's about emotional intelligence. It's about knowing, you know, the people, if your employees don't have their home life squared away and their problems at home taken care of, they're going to bleed into work. And you have to be able to understand that, hey, if they're not prepared, it's hopefully not because of a lack of discipline or respect or discipline or preparation. But it's because there's probably something going on outside of work that they can't let go of when they come through that door. The thing that we're conditioned to do in the military is, you know, you walk through that door. It's like, remember in Over the Top, these, you know, Sylvester Stallone, am I aging myself here? Would flip his head around backwards. And it was like, it was game on. And you know, in the military mindset, like when you walk through that door, you got to let everything else go. You know, even though it's you're running on that hamster wheel, you don't show it. And that's the biggest piece where, you know, having that ability to have compassion for people and understand that it's not you being, you know, this nice, super nice person. It's having compassion that we're all human beings. And that's what we're lacking in the transition that I see from, you know, leaving the military, going into the civilian world, because whether the people that are, I don't know what the answer is, the real answer. I do know that the programs of transitioning soldiers, it needs to be overhauled because it's not doing any justice for our soldiers.
And I'll go even further and say, you know, this may not win some popularity points, but unless you can quantify and directly relate your military experience to the role that you're going for, so what? Nobody cares.
Here's another thing, like the flip side of the coin. A lot of gals and boys get out and they think I attained the pay grade of XYZ and I'm the super awesome guy. And the reality is, some of you are not as great of leaders as you think you are. Going back to compassion, a lot of military folks
Tough love from
only
Oogie.
know one way to deal with an issue. They're not by no means multi-directional. They, you know, a good leader knows when to be tough love, and he knows when to sit you down and have a heart to heart. He also knows when it's inappropriate to belittle somebody in public, and that's a big one. And that there's a lot of guys, like when we started Battle Buddies, a lot of guys would walk in and they would, and it's like, no, dude, nah.
Sarah, I know that you were labeled to be that person once upon a time, right?
Yeah, I had a really hard transition. My boss still refers to me as militaristic in my leadership style on occasion because of that mentality, that losing that persona and being that kinder, more compassionate, but not soft and smushy leader, and finding that balance. But yeah, it's not easy. It's not an easy mindset. It's not an easy way to change your method of thinking. And like Oogie said too, you have the same thing. The arrogant captains thinking they're a senior executive and deserve top dollar, and they're just bottom of the barrel when it comes to everything. And you know, that E4 that busted his butt for 4, 5, 6 years and deserves everything he's making because he's a hard worker. You know, it's a good variety in there.
I'd like
Also,
to
back to what Chuck said, with why do I have to adapt my ways to 99% of what everybody else is? Well, you don't have to 100% adapt to how they are. There's plenty of qualities that you can carry over. However, they are the 99%. You need to understand that you're the 1% and you're not the pinnacle of society at all. You lived in a completely world that's very secluded and very different from what the actual world is. And now you have to make that transition. You can either fight it and break yourself, because you will. It's kind of like going to war. You either get with it or you're just gonna break. It's the same thing. You just gotta, it's something you have to do. The world doesn't revolve around you. It never did, even in the military. It never did. So why, when you get out, all of a sudden it's like it has to be about me? Well, it's not.
Yeah.
I saw a comment a couple of years ago, I've referenced it a few times, we need to probably not call this a transition because that's kind of a scary word. And it is actually more of your next PCS.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if you take that mindset of new duty station, new life, maybe you even picked up a new job you're going to go do or whatever because you went to retraining. You know, I have yet to see an Indeed posting that anybody's looking for an infantryman, artillery guy, a combat engineer, you know, any of those things. So most of us, we don't get to carry on what we were doing on active duty. So we have to get creative and go to retraining. I mean, Kathleen, you know, used one of the catchphrases that really drives me crazy is I was just something, right? And that totally degrades yourself and your own mindset of where your value's at, because she's not just a something or another. She's now transitioning again, you know, PCSing into her next career field. Where are you at in your CompTIA certs right now? We'll put a little advertisement out there for your next job seeking, Kathleen. You finished Security Plus, I think, recently, right? Or something.
Yeah, so I secured ITIL, my ITIL certification, and right now I'm working on Security Plus. But I've taken classes for A+, Network Plus, Certified Ethical Hacker, and then in September, I'm scheduled for another Ethical Hacker class as well. And I'm going through ACI. It's called LeaderQuest, an ACI learning company based out of Colorado.
Nice.
So you're not just a thing anymore, right? You've completely changed your brain from 2 years ago. It's amazing. This is the kind of stuff that motivates me every single week to keep on getting on here and doing this kind of stuff, is hearing those stories right there. Seen it so many times. It's awesome. So I know I'm super proud of you. I know Pete is too. Can't
Heck
speak
yeah.
for anyone else here, but this is the kind of stuff that we love to do here on the page.
This is what makes it all worthwhile.
Exactly.
I'm just going to add really quickly. I'll tell you, even my own personal story. You know, I have a bachelor's in psychology, a master's in social work. I was a social worker before I went into the military. And when I went through my transition into OCS, they said, don't pick your first choice. Always put your first choice second. So I put Intel first. I didn't want to be an Intel officer. And guess what I got? I was an Intel officer. So I'm like, what the hell? Are you kidding me? I'm a therapist. I could have done really great things for the military, for soldiers. And all of a sudden I find myself in Intel school, and I'm like, oh God, but it was fine. You know what? I had that, oh my gosh, imposter syndrome. I can't do this. I'm going to fail out. I'm not going to do well. You know, I shoot well. I can do PT well. So I'm like, okay, I got those off, you know, check. But I had to have that mindset of like, you know what, just do it and just finish it. And I did. And it was a great experience for me. But then I also took 5 years before I got out, and I started my exit plan because I knew no one else was going to do it for me. And I think that's super important for the people that haven't gotten out yet and are still trying to transition. I mean, if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have my business now, and it's been 15 years. So I'm in a great place because I'm doing something I'm very passionate about. I love it. And my path to get here was totally not what I had expected at all. So that's where you got to remember, like, every single place in life where you're at, you're there for a reason, a season, there's a lesson in it, and you're probably going to combat something through your childhood that you needed to address to get where you are today, right? Our test always becomes our testimony. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of stuff. I'm sure every single one on this panel here have some childhood trauma or something, either in your adulthood, that you've worked through. And if you take a piece of where you're at in every place in your life, you're going to find like, hey, you know what? I pushed through. We've all survived 100% of our workplace. We're all standing here, sitting here, talking right now, right? So if you keep that mindset of like, I'm going to get through this. It might not be easy, but storms usually come to clear up the path. And that's the most important thing that you got to remember. Like, it's just another day. That's it.
I want to comment on thing that Lana and Chucky said. I agree. I think it's high time we get away from transition and think about the last time you were in the military and you PCS'd. How much preparation went into that move and that PCS? And then think about how much preparation and effort goes into transition. Nowhere near it.
Mm-mm.
So I think, you bring up a good point. If you're still in the military, use your time wisely and treat your transition like a PCS and figure out beforehand what your next mission is going to be. Where do you want to be? And then who are you going to be after the military? Because as soon as you walk out that door and you clear, that persona's gone. You need to know who you are.
One of the weirdest days of my life was walking out the door with the DD-214 in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting like streamers and shit to be coming down, I was like, that's it?
Yeah, you got an empty car ride off post.
Yeah, get in my car and leave now? This is so weird. Or truck?
To
Yeah.
add what James said, realistic goals. Don't
Yes.
think you're gonna walk out and be like a ninja. Like, no.
Yeah, and you brought it up earlier too, Oogie. And it's, if you're a captain or you're a sergeant first class or whatever your rank is, don't think you're going to walk right out and be at the top level when you start out, because that's not how it works.
I think
And
a
you
lot
gotta
of
be
a lot
realistic.
of guys really struggle with that one, especially guys in enlisted ranks, because you walk out even as a E5 and you expect like,
Well, it's because as soon as you were
I was
E5
kind
in
of
the
a big
military,
deal.
yeah,
and
you
then
were
it's
already
like,
given that respect in the military.
yeah,
Once you hit that
go
rank,
watch the
NCO.
car, man.
Yeah, I mean, once you hit that NCO rank, the respect was just given to you, given to the rank, not necessarily you, but given
Yeah.
to the rank. That's not how it works outside those gates.
You gotta the thing is, like, and you're right, like when you get out, you have to rebuild that respect. It'll come to you.
Oh yeah,
If you carry yourself right, like you know what to do. It's just no longer automatic. You gotta
Exactly.
start from that zero block. But now you already have a pathway in your head that you gotta take. You know much better the right from wrong and using dawns, and you also have a pretty good work ethic instilled in you. You just gotta follow and not break down.
I want
Might
to,
not sabotage yourself.
well, I agree with that, but I also want to challenge you and say, you've made it to those different ranks in the military because you were selected, maybe because of time in service or your experience or your training. But when you're transitioning to the civilian world, don't forget, like, if you're hand selected by someone, you've made it there because you were selected. You're not the rookie. You don't have to go through the ranks and go through all that bullshit. You do have to earn the respect. That is the biggest difference, right? I left Captain and I knew, because I had been in corporate before, I knew that, yeah, you have to kind of ease your way back into it. But again, you look at the key foundation of great leadership and great culture is trust and respect. And if you can furnish and deliver with grace every single time, no matter what, you don't have to be a prick. There's no, especially as a woman in the military, I couldn't deliver anything as a prick. I had to deliver it with grace and respect all the time, because I knew that the respect that I was going to get back, if I wanted my soldiers to run through walls for me, I had to give them that respect, right? And they did, because I was respectful to them. But as far as the going into civilian world, like if you're there, like, have that, I don't want to say like that ego on the negative side, but believe in yourself that, hey, I've got this and I deserve this because I prepared. Listen, if you can lead a squad and you can lead a team and you can lead a company, you can lead people. It is all the same. It's just different, bigger numbers. That is it. If you know how to do that and you master it, you can do it in the civilian world, 100%. You just got to tweak some things. And compassion is the biggest piece that you have to learn to have. You have to give people a chance. Otherwise, building robots. We don't want robots out there. We want different people. I don't want robots. Otherwise, you have a production line.
So an interesting piece has come up here is the reasonable transitions into that next job or whatever. James, you and I are kind of peers, I would say, as far as career levels at this point. Both couple of dirty enlisted guys that went straight out of high school into the Army, right?
Yep.
Window licking. Neither one of us got to figure out the crayon thing because we were in the Army. But
Crayons are color, not to eat.
Exactly. So, I find it, I've seen this a lot over the, probably 5-6 years of helping vets do this kind of stuff, where I'll get a field grade officer that comes out, and when they find out that as an enlisted guy and just a staff sergeant, right, and spent 7 years, almost 8 active duty, I'm that annoying staff dude guy that was kind of loud and lippy, and his guys were fucking renegades, and like I had way too much influence on my guys, and they just couldn't understand that kind of stuff. And don't show your cards all at once. I mean, I've worked very hard since 1997 when I got out of the Army, went in, night school, got a bachelor's degree, master's degree, all that stuff. There's a lot of effort that goes into the civilian aspect of things. And, I've seen these guys come in and be kind of like use me as a benchmark of, well, this dipshit who's an E6 was doing this. I mean, just put a 10X on what I can do. Right. So some of the stuff, I know you've seen the same stuff I have. I'm curious about your perspective from our side of the fence. There's a couple guys that come to mind real specifically.
Yeah, I think it comes back and it kind of highlights everything that we've been talking about. It's the mindset, and I think I same experience you have, and I tend to see it more with officers than I do with enlisted. It's that sense of entitlement, the everything that came, the respect, everything to the rank, not necessarily the person, but to the rank was automatic. They had a shiny, there was respect given. When they come out, they expect the same thing and aren't willing to put in, not necessarily not willing at first, not willing to put in the work, and they just expect it. And then I think that they have a false sense of, oh, this is hard, and disillusioned because they haven't changed their mindset, or they don't know how to, actually get things done. So yeah, totally agree with you. It takes a lot. And again, I think it comes to a lot also is how long were you in for? If you were in for 20 years, that's a huge span of anybody's life. That's some hard habits to break and hard things to change, but you have to be willing to change that as well.
So the good thing I've seen is there's like this circle that these guys have to complete, and it can be this big, or it can be, it goes off the screen big, right? Until they realize where their starting point actually is. And the guys that I've seen kind of have the best coming to Jesus on this type of stuff is it's almost always the same guy. It's our guys that are West Pointers, that are captains, that were in the infantry. And if they got a Ranger tab, those guys are the best direction followers ever. And, they get out, and I've heard this from almost every single one of them, especially if they've done the transition. What's that thing that you can do for 120 to 180 days as you're getting out? Oh
yeah. Where you get to come home and.
Yeah. You can jump. The guys were at like Pepsi and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it was funny because I watched these guys peer-to-peer talk that like went to the same school together, kind of went down a couple different paths, and all came back home about the same time. And it's almost always the same thing. It's like, yeah, I thought I was hot shit. I was a captain, company commander, thought I was going to get out, make $180,000, $250,000 a year. And when I started working at this insurance company here in St. Paul, I realized I didn't know anything. And it's the best thing that I could have did for 6 months. So those work programs that the military offers you, if you can take them, that is the biggest mistake in the world to pass over that. Because your transition, however hard you think it's going to be, it's probably going to be 10 times more difficult. That's my guess.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, I wish
nobody's handing you orders what your job's going to be.
I wish they had that when I got out in 2003.
Skillbridge, DOD Skillbridge. Take advantage of that program. Sorry, I've been talking a lot. Sarah, we've been ignoring you pretty good tonight. You're one of those dirty officers, both you and Lana, right? So we'll pick on you guys a little bit. Kind of how did this look for you? I mean, you had the reserves as kind of a safety blanket, right? A little bit.
Yeah, but I still had that transition after 4 years of active duty into the civilian market. And it wasn't so much an arrogance thinking that I deserved more, but I definitely left active duty. I was only a captain when I was on active duty and thought that I don't know that I deserved more than I was looking for, but there was definitely something where I wasn't going to just work out at Joann Fabrics as a fabric cutter.
Y'all heard what you just did? I was only a captain.
I was only a captain. I was about to call it out.
Listen, we
Right?
just had a whole conversation.
Case in point, but it wasn't
Right.
20 years, it was 4 years. And I still had that mentality that I should have been doing more. But you know where it came from? It came from the people that I was transitioning out from the programs that they had at Fort Bliss, almost filling my head with, well, you're an officer, you can just walk into anywhere and get a job. Because I didn't have any sort of network. I didn't have any sort of plan. It wasn't really a planned transition. It was kind of more like save my family versus, keep doing what I love. So it wasn't a happy transition, which, you talk mindset. I wanted to stay in the military. I did not want to leave active duty. I loved it to my soul. And so that was probably the hardest part on that mindset. I wasn't ready to leave. And then, everything just kind of fell apart from there. And it took 2.5 years before I landed an ROTC instructor job, which was kind of where I ended up being then for a while, trying a couple different things in there. But it's definitely the mindset to come out is difficult. And as an officer, you're almost conditioned that you're higher in the pile than you actually are. And you just need to be ready to accept that you have to start a little bit lower than you think you might need to. But you're still bringing, like Lana said, a lot of really good leadership skills, a lot of confidence and trust with you that can help you, even if you have to start at the bottom, can help you grow quicker because you don't have to learn that all. You already know it.
So I think it comes down to knowing your worth, but also managing your expectations realistically.
Yeah.
And like I said, a lot of it is not coming from arrogance. It's just like you said. Our branches are setting up soldiers that are transitioning for failure with the I want to say lack of, assistance that they give. The military is great at getting people in, but they kind of suck at getting people out.
Well, James,
I will say I got out in 2013 and I saw what guys were doing when they got out in 2003, and it's a lot better. The guys in 2003 were like, good job. Now we are as a military, we are moving in the right direction. It's just not at the pace we should be. We'll get there hopefully sooner than later, but I will say that it's a lot better than what it was, because it was literally like, okay, bye.
My transition assistance was, here's a printout of everything you've done in the military and what it could possibly count for at college. Good luck.
Yep.
That was the
At least they wished you good luck.
What was that?
At least you got a good luck wish.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember if it was actually a good luck wish. That might just be my head.
Hey, on a lighter side, we have seen guys that have done it right, and it does work. We've seen guys who are still attached, who are in the midst of making their exit strategy, and they're visiting places where they want to live and retire and stuff and work next. And we saw this happen, and they've come through our groups because they just weren't. There was a missing piece, and we helped them put that together. But once we got those things in place, they thrived, and I've seen that. It's not an automatic disaster on your way out, but again, those are the guys who did have everything that we're talking about, that positive self-belief and making a plan. They knew their worth. They knew where they wanted to go with the skills that they had, where they could go. And I just wanted to say, I've seen it work, so I know it works.
Yep. We're way over on time. Okay, so we'll kind of go around here and just let's see. Here, I know what would be great. So we've talked about a lot of problems, right? So now's this problem solving time. So let's give everybody a couple pieces of advice on how to transition better, how to control your mind better. A couple things there from you, and then we'll wrap it up. So we'll go lowest common denominator till top. So we will start with the Oogie. Oogie,
I think the biggest thing that helped me not to get lost when I get out and set me on the right track is first thing I did is I had a phenomenal support group when I got out. I had a bunch of vets telling me what to do and when and with who. And I got myself with VA and I got myself with school, and that set me on the right path. Within a year, I was making $7,000.
Sarah.
I would say don't look back and get stuck in where you thought you should have been. Be okay where you're at right now, but never stop trying to get where you want to go. But just live in the present and then just keep working towards where you want to be.
How about you, Kathleen? Success story of Battle Buddies.
I would say stop saying you're just, fill in the blanks, because that was my biggest flaw. Was I was always just a whatever. And if you can, whatever works for you to change that, you should do.
Lana, how about yourself? It can be more than one thing.
I think the most important piece is, every day when you wake up, just remind yourself how you're going to show up for yourself, because that's when you set that intention in the beginning of the day. It's really how you're setting your mindset for the rest of your day. And that is super, super important, because if you let those, if you let the enemy and those negative pieces in, it is going to you're going to stay on that hamster wheel all day long. You've got to set your intentions in the beginning of the day.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Mr. Watts?
I say two things, keep an eye, make sure that the people you have around you are the people that are actually going to support you. So make sure that they're positive and, not trying to bring you down, pull you back in that bucket. And the second thing, allow yourself and tell yourself it's okay to fail. Give yourself that grace. It's not like a fire mission in the military. It's okay to fail.
How about you, Pete? You're like the job coach fella here, professional one.
Yeah, I'm on. So yeah, if you feel like you're making a plan, it's not coming together, or you're feeling stuck, that is the signal to go ahead and get some help. Nothing wrong with getting help. Plenty of people have been where you're at. Plenty of people are loving the idea of being able to help somebody get through where they're at. I know I've gone through some stuff. And there are some people coming to me going, hey, tell me more about your experience there in this particular thing. And because I went through that bit of hell, I'm loving that I can offer some help and assistance. So don't be shy about reaching for a mentor or any kind of help from somebody that has some experience.
So mine is make a list. Multiple lists, and it needs to cover a few areas. So they should be short-term, midterm, and long-term goals. And I really believe that those things need to be written down somewhere so that you can hold yourself accountable, and your 17-year-old kid who's a professional gamer can hold you responsible as well. So you should have goals written down that are physical. So most people don't realize this, but 80% or more of your mental health comes from your physical well-being. If you think I'm wrong about that, when you get sick, you feel like shit, everything's out the window. So it's probably closer to 95 than 80, but those are the numbers. My therapist that I went to for a very long time and helped me with a lot of stuff, let me know about. So that with your mental piece needs to be right. So if that is, a lot of you guys might need to get into a PTSD clinic, you might need to go to some sort of sobriety program or something like that. Don't be afraid to check into those programs and keep those as short-term and long-term goals. And then your professional stuff, once you got the physical and the mental, emotional piece done, that's when you can really start working on your physical thing. Or on the professional thing. Got a lot of people coming to Battle Buddies. It's almost always the combat arms dudes. They're like, I just want to mow grass. I want to wash dishes. I want to do something mindless where I can put in earbuds and work all day. And I'm just not ready to talk to humans yet. That's cool, you know? So you got to get all of those things squared away before you can really apply yourself from a professional perspective. At least that's my take. So write a list, have multiple goals, and always be working towards something. Anybody else have anything else they want to add in here this evening before we go?
Yeah, to what you said, like the combat guys get out and they just want to do like the mindless job. I went through that. What happens with that? And that's not a bad thing. It's a good way to
Exactly.
ease in, because what happens, your military mind is going to take over and you're going to be like, this is not enough for me and I want more. But because you took that step and you didn't dive in and apply all the bad habits immediately, you let this little job weed out all the crap and kind of readjust yourself. It helped me immensely. My first job, I was doing security for Allied Button, making like $9 an hour. Then I went to school and I was doing IT work as an RMA tech, making 15 an hour. And now I'm back in school. I finished program for networking. Now I'm back in school for coding. I'm planning on going into DevOps, which is a big thing right now.
We
Oh,
need to talk.
That's huge.
Okay,
So-
good. Good to know that. All right. Anyone else before we take off for the evening? All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm glad we had all these special guests this evening. Makes it a lot more entertaining than just myself and Pete. A lot more.
Hey, wait a minute.
entertaining. Yeah.
I mean, Pete's pretty enjoyable, but
No, I agree.
We
It's
get
me.
tired looking at you.
I'm the crab dude at the bottom of the bucket pulling everybody down. So I'll own that one.
Awesome, man.
All right. Thanks for everybody showing up this evening.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
Vince.